Listen, I know you're sitting in church and you're beginning to want to deep down within yourself, what am I doing? Why the constant formality? Well, that's why we're here. So we wanted to bring this information to you. So we hope that it'll awaken something within you to make you go a little bit deeper and wonder a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to want to get more information about what you believe in, what you think is right, and what you follow all your life. So I love you guys. Peace and reflections to you. Thank you for watching. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for jumping back in on my channel. I truly appreciate you guys 100%. Well, today we're going to be jumping into episode 2, which is going to be Religion Reloaded, from the Shift series that we're dealing with, breaking down a lot of this ancient spirituality and how it correlates with religion. So let's get into it. So the first thing we have to understand is where do we get the Bible? So I'm going to go through these presentations that I have here. I'm going to go ahead and shift this down really quick. Hang on a second. Okay, so now the presentation that I have here is basically going to go through the Religion Reloaded concept. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to talk about where the Bible came from itself. In order for us to reload religion and get a better perspective, we have to understand where the Bible itself came from. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So let's see here. Okay, so this blog discussion is basically going to cover what does Holy Bible mean. We're going to go into the secret doctrine uncovered, and we're going to go into ancient spirituality revealed. Okay, so we're not going to really talk a lot about the ancient spirituality revealed. Actually, if you want to get more into that, I suggest you go back and look at my last video upload. I'm going to create a playlist on my YouTube blog channel so that you'll be able to upload a playlist and look at it. All right, cool. All right, so next one. All right, first thing first, Bible. So we have to understand where the Bible came from. All right, the Hebrew Bible and the Greek Septuagint. The Hebrew Bible is known in Judaism as the Torah. Remember now, you did not have an understanding of what you call Holy Bible until the Greeks gave it to you, okay? So last video I got into a little bit into Hellenism. I won't go into that fully yet, but understand that you did not have a Holy Bible until the Greeks gave you a Holy Bible. You had other names, the canon, the LXX, the Septuagint, the codexes. I mean, you have several different things that you had before what you got as the Bible, which was given to you from the Greeks. So with that being said, we understand that the Holy Bible was given to us by the Greeks, okay, and you have different versions of that. Then we can get into the Greek terminology for Helios, Helios Biblios, or Helios Biblica, whichever you would like to say. If I'm saying that correctly, forgive me. But the idea is, you have the Helios Biblios, or which we know as the Helios from the Greek was a personification of the sun in Greek mythology. So understand, I went into a last video that the ancients stole a lot of information from Egypt or from ancient Kemet. So with that being said, we understand that Helios, it means sun. So the Greek word for when they gave you the Holy Bible was Helios Biblios. Biblios means book or papyrus, in which the ancient Kemetans were on, or Egyptians. So we realize that the ancient or the Greek word for Helios Biblios is actually saying sun book. So you're not saying holy book. Holy means to be whole within. So you're saying sun book. So which is going to spring me into this this whole Helios. So you can look this stuff up. Like I said, I like to leave my sources. I like to get information that can be found by you, so you won't just have to take my word for it. Okay. So when you say Holy Bible, you're saying Greek Helios Biblios, which means sun book. All right. It all derives from the same place. And just because it comes from Greek does not mean that the Torah is not full of it as well. And we're going to get into that. So let's go into the next slide. So we understand that once we get into Genesis, so it is the first book of the Torah, but it is not the oldest book. The oldest book is Job, okay? That is the oldest book. Arguably, most scholars would agree that the oldest book is Job. No questions asked. All right, so now we understand that Genesis is just the origin of our mode of formation or of creating something, or the tale of Genesis in four sides. So the origin, the source, the root. Basically, the reason why you got the term Genesis, because if you look up within Genesis, when you talk about words, you see genes, creation, Genesis. So you'll get a lot of creation stories in Genesis. All through Genesis, you'll get a lot of creation stories, which are very symbolic for certain things as it relates to humanity, and which we'll get into maybe later. So now we see genes or Genesis, okay? That's a creation story, but that was not the first book written. Job was. All right, so now I'm going to go into Job real quick, and I'm going to read Job, the 38th chapter, and I'm going to read the 32nd verse. It says, "Canst thou bring forth Mazarat in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons?" All right, now the key word that we're going to focus on here is Mazarat, okay? When we get into Mazarat, then we understand that. But it says, but in its context, that astronomical constellations, it is often interpreted as the zodiac. Here we go. Let's find out if this is true. Let's search this thing out. So now that we understand that what Mazarat is, we can go into the lexicon, which is the Strong's Concordance, which most scholars actually use the Strong's Concordance to go into the Hebrewic words or the Greek words so that they can get the root meaning. So the H4216 in the Strong's Mazarah, which is Mazarat in the English translation, which is in the book of Job, which is the oldest book written. The 12 signs of the zodiac and their 36 associated constellations. That is crazy. That's in the Bible. That's in Job 38:32. Okay, the oldest book written. Job 38:32 talks about the 12 signs of the zodiac in their astrology. What is that? There you have it. We're talking about the 12 signs of the zodiac. We're talking about the 12 apostles. We're talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Have you ever asked yourself, why 12? Some say 13, which is representation of the sun, which is why you see in the middle here you have the sun, or what they say, Jesus, the sun. And we'll get into that later. So we understand that we have 12 original zodiacs that existed before any of what we know today. You call it New Age, but there's nothing new about it. This has always been in existence, okay? It's just been hidden from you, and most people don't realize it, but we're going to uncover it, all right? So let's get into this. So we understand that within Genesis, as we're going to relate to how we're going to tie into the ancient spirituality, into this new, what you like to call New Age, or what people like to be afraid to talk about as it relates to what's new and what's going on. So you'll see right here, Genesis 22:13, I'm just going to read this. It says, "Then Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up to a burnt offering in the place of his son." Okay, now a lot of preachers like to go over this as, oh, that was just symbolic for Jesus being the sacrifice, and God telling us that this was a representation of Jesus to come to be the son sacrifice. No, that is the layer of what they're telling you. There is a esoteric knowledge to this information. So now let's get into how Genesis actually talks about this. Okay, I want you to pay close attention. Go back and read this information for yourself. Here in Genesis 49, pay attention here. It says, "And Jacob called unto his sons, Gather yourselves, that I may tell you which befall you in the last days." Understand, this is esoteric, okay? Gather, it says, "Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, the beginning, my strength, excellency, dignity, and excellency of power. But unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, and thine defilest thou." So understand here, Reuben, thy firstborn, water, okay, unstable as water. Let's go back. What is the guy for the water here? Okay, so Reuben in that era represented what we know today as Aquarius. So Reuben represented what we know today as Aquarius. Okay, so let's go back. Now let's go to the next one. I'm just going to go through these really quickly. Simeon, Levi, brother, instruments of cruelty in their habitation. O my soul, the secrets of my honor, that thou united for their anger and slew a man. So we understand that they're brothers, right? So we go here. We have right here the two who are battling right here with their weapon, whatever the weapon that is that they're using. We understand that if we go back, It's an instrument of cruelty. All right, so we'll go back here really fast. The instrument of cruelty. There you have it, right there. And they're actually being cruel to each other within this zodiac chart if you look at it. So, I mean, this goes on and on. You can follow it all the way down here. You have Judah is the lion's whelp for the prey of my son. Judah, everybody knows Judah. So where's Judah? Let's find the lion. There it is. All right, so these things are all throughout the scriptures. They're everywhere. We're going to press on a little further here so we can get a little bit more into it. All right, so let's jump down to Luke, and this will be my last slide here. Let's see over in Luke. Let's read Luke 10. It says, he answered, when you enter the city, a man carrying a jug of water will meet you. Follow him into the house he enters. Okay, and we're talking about Jesus was telling his disciples here, follow the man with the pitcher of water. So let's go back. Let's find out exactly what this pitcher of water he's referring to, which is here. Now, we have two different problems here. The first problem is you got to understand in the era of where, Job and Moses, they had different eras. So just like we go through in this time frame, we have different eras that we go through. In each era, representations of where mankind's mind is. Mankind shifts within their minds a lot. All right, so we go through these different shifts within our mind frames, within our mindsets. As we progress through time, time is a Babylon. It never stops. Matter of fact, who you truly are is not bound by time, only the shell that you exist in. So whenever we're beginning to talk about ages, we're talking about ages that already pre-existed within the Babylon of time that we live here while we're on this planet. All right. So when Jesus told them to follow the man with the pitcher of water, then we understand that this is where they're going. So we know that Job was the first book written. Then we know that Genesis starts with actually the bull itself. Remember, Genesis is not the first book written. So when we go to the calf here, or destroy the bull, according to Moses, then we shift over into Aries the ram, which is the Genesis, which means the creation story itself. And how everything came about. Remember, Moses wrote about his death. That's very uncommon, so we have to kind of wonder about those type of things. And then then we going from Moses, then we shift over into Pisces, which is why Jesus always dealt with two fish, 5 loaves of bread. Peter, the two fishermen, Peter and his brother. All right, so remember, Jesus is always surrounded with fish or miracles. And then he told them to follow the man with the pitcher of water. All right. So now you go from the 12 tribes of Israel over into the actual the 12 apostles who followed Jesus. Jesus, or the Son, being the 13th. Okay. So So what I really want you guys to do is really go do your homework on this stuff, and you have to really dig. And it doesn't stop here. This is only just the surface. Okay. This is just like, oh wow, I didn't pay attention to that. So this is why you shouldn't take the Bible literal, because it has a spiritual meaning. So the spiritual things that you're beginning to see people come into, it's nothing new about it. The information is being unearthed, and it's coming forward because it's what people need in order to liberate themselves from this bondage that people has been under, all the lies and that Rome is caused in America, and a lot of these preachers that refuse to tell the truth and bring the truth out. So I really hope I helped you guys. I hope you got a lot of good information. Peace to you and reflections. I'm out.